Alex had never been on a diplomatic mission before, and the planet he found himself on was unlike anything he had imagined. The sky shimmered with colors he'd never seen on Earth, and the air smelled faintly of flowers and something sweet, almost like honey. The alien world was peaceful, full of strange yet beautiful beings who welcomed him warmly, despite his own nervousness. His mission was simple: meet with the leaders and build peaceful relations. But Alex had never been good at staying serious, especially in a setting like this. It was on his second evening there when he met Lyra. She was unlike anyone Alex had ever seen. She stood out among the crowd of alien diplomats. Her skin was a soft shade of purple, almost like the twilight sky, and her long hair flowed behind her like strands of silver light. She wore a gown that shimmered like starlight in every step. She seemed to draw attention, but it wasn't just her beauty. It was something about the way she carried herself, a quiet confidence that Alex found strangely magnetic. Alex had been chatting with a few other alien diplomats, and he noticed her standing by herself near the edge of the room. He grinned. Always one to enjoy a bit of playful banter, and decided to approach her. After all, he was on a peaceful mission, and if he could charm a few people along the way, why not? He strolled up to her, trying to hide his nervousness behind a smile. "Excuse me," he began, his voice light and playful. "I don't suppose you're the one they've been sending to meet me, are you? Because if so, I think I'm in a bit of trouble." Lyra turned to him, her eyes wide and curious. She was clearly taken aback by his sudden approach, but didn't seem offended. Instead, she raised an eyebrow, as if studying him carefully. Alex thought she might laugh at the joke, or maybe roll her eyes, but she didn't. Instead, her expression was serious. She responded with calmness that made Alex feel a little self-conscious. "I'm not sure what you mean," she replied, her voice soft yet confident. "But if you need something, I am happy to assist." Alex chuckled nervously, realizing that perhaps his humor hadn't quite landed, but he pressed on, determined not to let it get awkward. "Well, I was hoping you could tell me something. I've been hearing a lot of rumors about the people on this planet, and I wanted to know if it's true that. Well, if you'd like to join me for dinner, I'll be happy to tell you all about Earth's best food. Maybe it'll change your mind about the rumors?" Lyra tilted her head slightly, as if puzzled by his words. "Dinner? You would invite me? To join you for food?" Her tone was genuinely curious, as though she had never been asked something like this before. Alex grinned, sensing a little opening. "Oh yes, humans do love our food, and I thought you might want to try some of our best dishes. Of course, I can't guarantee you'll like them, but I promise we can have a lot of fun finding out." He watched as Lyra's expression softened. For a moment, she seemed to consider his offer. Then, without a hint of hesitation, she said, "I accept your offer, but I believe you have more to tell me than just food." Alex blinked, taken off guard. She had caught him off guard. Was she teasing him? He wasn't sure. But Lyra's demeanor was serious, and he could tell that she was trying to understand him. It was at that moment that Alex realized she was not someone who would easily fall for casual jokes. But instead of backing off, he felt an unexpected pull to keep her attention, to make her smile, to show her that despite his playful approach, he was genuine. "Well," Alex said, putting his hands in his pockets, "I guess we could talk more. It's not every day a guy gets invited to an alien dinner." Lyra nodded slowly. "Indeed. I've heard that your people are quite predictable, but there's something intriguing about you, human." She paused, looking him over as though trying to understand the depths of his words. "You may amuse me, but I also wonder if you're here for something greater than food." Alex's grin faltered for just a second, but he quickly recovered, trying to make light of it. "Well, if you think I'm here for something else, then you're absolutely right. I'm here to get to know people like you. It's not just as diplomats, but as, fellow beings. I mean, Earth is new to this whole intergalactic thing. Who better to help than someone as beautiful and smart as you?" He didn't expect her to react the way she did. Her eyes widened and her gaze softened as if she didn't know how to respond. For a moment, Alex felt awkward, but Lyra remained calm, her expression unreadable. And then, in a voice quieter than before, she spoke. "You flatter me, human," she said. her eyes holding his in a way that made his heart beat faster. "But I believe you are not just offering dinner, are you?" Alex's smile slipped for a second, realizing the implication of her words. Had she misunderstood him? He had only been flirting, making light conversation, but she seemed to take it seriously. And what surprised him even more was how much he didn't mind. Was it possible that in this alien world, with its strange customs and beautiful people, he could find something he wasn't expecting? Something that made him feel more alive than ever before? Before he could say anything, Lyra spoke again. "You've made an interesting proposal, human. I accept. Let's see. Where this leads?" Alex froze. What did she mean by that? Had he really just accidentally proposed to an... The next day, Alex couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. What had he gotten himself into? Lyra's acceptance of his proposal still confused him. It wasn't like he had intended to ask for her hand in marriage. He had just been flirting. But there was something about the way she had looked at him. Something about the way she had said, "I accept," that made him wonder if maybe he had missed something important. The day started as any other. Alex was supposed to attend more diplomatic meetings, meet with other alien representatives, and get to know the people on this peaceful planet. But all he could think about was Lyra. He found himself replaying the events of last night over and over again in his head, her face, her eyes, her calm, collected manner. It was clear that she wasn't like other people he had met. When Alex arrived at the meeting hall later that morning, Lyra was already there, sitting at one of the long tables with other diplomats. As he walked in, she immediately looked up and caught his eye. A small smile crossed her face, one that seemed to carry a hint of something more, something deeper than mere politeness. "Good morning, Alex," Lyra said, her voice calm, but with an unmistakable warmth. It wasn't the usual formal greeting. There was a softness to it, almost as if they shared a secret. Alex suddenly felt the weight of the entire room. He wasn't sure how to respond, so he simply nodded and smiled back. "Morning, Lyra," he said, walking over to her. He wasn't sure if he should sit next to her or not. After all, they weren't officially anything. But when she motioned to the empty chair beside her, Alex took a seat without thinking. Maybe he was just curious, or maybe he was starting to feel something more. The meeting continued around them. But Alex found himself paying less attention to the discussions and more to the way Lyra seemed completely at ease. She listened carefully, her eyes sharp as she took in every word. There was no doubt that she was intelligent. She was more than just a beautiful alien. She was a powerful and wise diplomat in her own right. Finally, after the meeting, Lyra turned to him. "I would like to show you something, Alex. Something that will help you understand my people better." Alex's heart raced a little at the thought of spending more time alone with her. He nodded quickly. "Of course, I'd love to see it." They left the hall together, walking side by side through the lush, vibrant gardens of the alien city. The plants were like nothing Alex had seen before, flowers that glowed softly under the light, trees that seemed to hum with energy, and vines that twisted and curled like living sculptures. He marveled at the beauty of it all, but he couldn't help but notice how Lyra's presence made everything else seem even more vibrant. As they walked, Lyra spoke. "My people don't easily trust outsiders, Alex, but I think you're different. You haven't tried to use your charm to manipulate anyone. Instead, you've treated us with respect, even when it's been difficult for you." Alex felt a flush on his cheeks. He hadn't expected to hear something like that. I was just trying to be friendly. "I didn't want to make things awkward or anything," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "But I can see why you'd be cautious. After all, we humans are new to all of this too." Lyra smiled gently. "That's what I admire. You're honest, even when you're unsure. You haven't tried to hide your feelings or your mistakes." She paused and turned to him, her eyes thoughtful. "And that's why I think you're worth knowing. It's more than just a charming diplomat. There's something in you that stands out, Alex." The way she looked at him made his heart skip a beat. There was no teasing, no playfulness in her eyes, only sincerity. He suddenly felt like he was being seen for who he truly was, not just a charming human or a diplomat. And for the first time, Alex realized that he wasn't just attracted to, Lyra's beauty was drawn to her strength, her intelligence, and her quiet confidence. They reached a small clearing where a group of her people was gathered. Lyra led him to the center of the circle, where an older alien stood with a warm smile on his face. He greeted her with a respectful bow before turning his gaze to Alex. "This is my father," Lyra said, introducing him. "He is one of the leaders of our people." Alex offered a polite greeting, trying to act as though this was just another part of the day's events. But he couldn't help but feel the weight of the situation. Meeting a leader of Lyra's people was a big deal, and the pressure was on. Her father regarded Alex carefully, his eyes searching. "I've heard much about you, human. I hope you know that the future of your people depends on how well you connect with us." Alex nodded, trying to keep his cool. "I understand. We're trying to build strong, peaceful relations between our species." Lyra's father smiled, then turned to his daughter. "You have done well, Lyra. I see that you have chosen wisely." Alex wasn't sure what the comment meant, but before he could ask, Lyra's father turned and began speaking. With the others, Lyra stayed by Alex's side, her presence offering him a strange sense of comfort in the midst of all the unfamiliarity. Once they were alone again, Alex looked at her with curiosity. "What did your father mean by that? Chosen wisely?" Lyra paused for a moment before answering. "My people believe in strong partnerships, Alex. Partnerships that help us grow, both as individuals and as a species. And I think you and I could be one of those partnerships." Alex felt his heart race. Was she talking about what he thought she was talking about? He had never expected things to go this far, and yet somehow it felt right. "Lyra," Alex began, trying to find the right words. "I didn't mean to," but she stopped him with a soft touch on his arm. "Alex, there's no need to explain. I understand more than you think. I'm not asking for anything right now. But I do think that maybe we could be something more than just a misunderstanding." Alex was speechless. Could it be that the alien woman he had just flirted with for fun was now offering him the chance at something? The days that followed were a mix of excitement and confusion for Alex. Ever since the meeting with Lyra's father, things had felt different. He hadn't expected the alien world to feel so real. The food, the strange customs, the peacefulness of the planet it was all so new. But what really consumed his thoughts was Lyra. She had a way about her that made everything seem both challenging and simple at the same time. Their time together was growing more frequent. They would meet for walks in the gardens, attend meetings together, and exchange stories about their worlds. Alex found himself looking forward to these moments, and every time he saw her, the connection between them seemed to grow deeper, even though neither of them had spoken about what it meant. On one particular afternoon, Alex sat on a bench in the garden, watching the bright alien flowers bloom under the warm sun. He was lost in thought when Lyra appeared before him. She was wearing a long, flowing dress that shimmered in the light, and her silver hair cascaded around her shoulders like a waterfall of stars. She looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and something else, something he couldn't quite place. "Alex," she said softly, sitting beside him without hesitation. "I've been thinking. You've been very kind, and I've enjoyed our time together. But I think it's time to be honest with each other." Alex turned to face her, his heart skipping a beat. Was she finally going to say something about their growing connection? He wasn't sure what to expect, but he knew that whatever it was important. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice quieter than usual. Lyra looked down at her hands for a moment, then back up at him. "When I accepted your proposal, I thought it was just a misunderstanding. But now I'm starting to wonder if it wasn't. You are different from the other humans I've met. You have a sincerity that is rare, and you've never tried to impress me with empty words." Alex blinked, surprised. He had been expecting her to back out of the whole thing, to say that she couldn't do this. But instead, she was being open. It made his heart swell with something he couldn't describe. "I'm glad you think so," Alex said, leaning forward slightly. "But I never intended for any of this to go so far. I didn't think you'd take me seriously." Lyra smiled softly, a small knowing smile that made Alex's chest tighten. "I didn't at first. But now I believe there is more between us than just a simple misunderstanding." The words hung in the air between them, and Alex felt his heart race. What was she saying? Was this real? I think I think we should give this a chance, Lyra continued, her voice calm but firm. But it's not just about us. You need to understand that this could change things for both of our worlds. Alex nodded slowly. Had known that all along, but hearing it from her made it feel much more real. This wasn't just a playful misunderstanding anymore. This was a decision that could have far-reaching consequences. I know, Alex said, his voice steady. But I don't want to make things difficult for you, Lyra. I'm not sure I'm ready to carry the weight of this. Lyra turned her gaze to the horizon, where the twin suns were beginning to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple. No one is ever ready for something like this. But sometimes we don't get to choose when these things happen. Sometimes life forces us into situations that we can't escape. Alex thought about her words for a moment. Was she right? This something he couldn't escape? The more he thought about it, the more he realized that he didn't want to escape. The idea of staying on this alien world with Lyra, of truly getting to know her, seemed like a dream come true. I'm not saying we have to rush into anything, Lyra continued, her tone softer now. But I want to see where this could lead. I want to understand you better, Alex. And I want you to understand me. Our people, our cultures, they're so different. But maybe that's what makes this worth exploring. Alex couldn't help but smile. She was right. He was nervous, unsure, and a little scared. But there was something about her honesty, her openness, that made him feel like maybe he could take that leap with her. I'd like that too, Alex said, his voice steady now. I don't want to let this go without giving it a real shot. They sat in silence for a few moments, the sounds of the alien world around them filling the air. It wasn't awkward, more like a moment of shared understanding. The garden around them seemed to shimmer even brighter, the colors more vivid than before. In that moment, Alex realized that this wasn't just about him and Lyra anymore. This was about something bigger. Lyra stood up and held out her hand to him. And come with me, Alex. Let's see what we can build together. Alex took her hand, feeling a strange sense of peace wash over him. He wasn't sure what the future held, but he knew one thing for sure. He wanted to find out with her by his side. As they walked side by side, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. How had something so simpler, bit of playful flirting led to this? It felt like the universe had conspired to bring them together. And for the first time in his life, Alex wasn't afraid to see where the days after their conversation were filled with a new kind of tension. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something big was coming. He and Lyra had agreed to give their bond a real chance, but the world around them wasn't as simple as their quiet moments together. Their relationship was beginning to draw attention, not only from their own species, but also from the powerful leaders of Lyra's people. Alex found himself in one of the most delicate situations of his life. The peaceful alliance that he and Lyra had hoped to build was now at risk. Political tensions between their two worlds were growing. The Galactic Council had been watching closely, and it seemed that every decision he made was being scrutinized. What had started as a diplomatic mission was becoming something much more complex. One afternoon, as Alex sat in his quarters reviewing the latest reports from Earth, he received an urgent message. It was from Lyra. She asked him to meet her in a private location, far from the eyes of the council and diplomats. Alex's heart skipped a beat. Wasn't sure what to expect, but he couldn't ignore her call. He made his way through the labyrinth of corridors and eventually arrived at a secluded garden at the edge of the planet's capital. The air smelled of fresh rain, and the sound of flowing water filled the space. Lyra was waiting for him near the center, her silver hair catching the light of the twin suns. You came, Lyra said, her voice soft but urgent. She motioned for Alex to sit beside her. I need to talk to you about something important. Alex sat down, his mind racing. What's going on, Lyra? What's so urgent? Lyra took a deep breath before speaking. The council is not happy with our relationship. They see it as a threat, not just to the political balance, but to the status of my family. My father is trying to keep the peace, but there are others who believe that my bond with you will only lead to chaos. Alex frowned. He knew the situation. It was tense, but he hadn't expected things to escalate so quickly. What does that mean for us? Can we even keep this going if it's causing trouble? Lyra looked down for a moment, her expression troubled. I don't know, but I'm not afraid of what they think. What matters is what we think, Alex. If we want this to work, we have to prove that it's not just about us. It's about something bigger. Alex nodded slowly. He'd always known that their relationship would be complicated, but hearing Lyra's words made him realize just how much was at stake. I don't want to cause trouble for you, Lyra, but I also don't want to give up on what we have. Lyra's eyes met his, and for a brief moment, the world seemed to fade away. There was only the two of them together in this strange alien world. I believe in us, Alex, she said firmly. I believe that what we're doing can change things, but we'll need help, and we'll need to be brave. Alex took her hand, his resolve strengthening. Whatever it takes, I'm with you. We'll figure this out. The next few days were a blur of meetings, tense conversations, and growing uncertainty. Lyra's father, while supportive of their relationship, had his hands tied by the council. There were factions within the council that saw their union as a threat to the traditional ways of life on the planet. Others feared that if they accepted a human-alien bond so freely, it would open the door to even more alliances that could shake up the established order. But as the days went by, Alex and Lyra began to gain unexpected allies. A group of Lyra's closest friends, people who had always supported her, came forward, offering their help. Among them was Kira, an older diplomat who had seen many political struggles in her time. Kira believed in Lyra's vision of unity and was willing to fight for it. So even if it meant going against the wishes of the council, we have to prove that our relationship isn't just about you two, Kira explained one evening, as they gathered in a small room hidden deep within the embassy. It's about showing the council that humans and your people can work together. Not just for peace, but for something greater, something that goes beyond politics. Alex listened intently, his mind racing. This was bigger than anything he had ever faced, but there was something about Kira's words that made him feel like they weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for a new future. Lyra sat beside him, her hand resting on his. Kira is right. We need to show them that we're not just two people falling in love. We need to show them that humans and my people can do more together. Alex felt a wave of determination wash over him. So what do? Kira smiled. We take action. We need to bring our people together. We'll host a gathering, a summit. A chance for both our species to come together and see the possibilities. No more hiding. No more running from what we can be. The idea sounded simple, but Alex knew it would be anything but. The council wouldn't take kindly to a gathering that involved both humans and aliens coming together to challenge their authority. But Alex and Lyra both believed it was the only way forward. As the days passed, the summit was organized. The preparations were intense. The diplomats from both sides worked around the clock to arrange everything. The air was thick with tension, but there was also a sense of hope, something Alex hadn't felt before. He wasn't just fighting for his relationship with Lyra anymore. He was fighting for something bigger than himself. When the day of the summit arrived, Alex stood by Lyra's side in the grand hall, surrounded by representatives from both worlds. The room was filled with people from different species, each with their own agendas. But Alex could feel the energy in the room. This was the moment that could change everything. As Lyra stepped forward to speak, Alex stood next to her, ready to face whatever came next. He had no idea how this would turn out, but for the first time, he didn't care. He was ready to take this step with Lyra, and no matter what happened, they would face it. The summit had finally arrived. The day Alex and Lyra had worked toward for weeks was here. The grand hall was filled with people from both sides, humans and aliens. Diplomats, leaders, and others who had come to witness what was meant to be a historic event. The room was bustling with quiet conversations and uncertain glances. Alex stood beside Lyra, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The stakes were higher than ever, and he couldn't help but wonder if they were making the right choice. Are you ready? Lyra asked, her voice calm as she placed her hand gently on his arm. Her touch was reassuring, a small reminder that they were in this together. Alex nodded, though his heart was racing. I'm ready, but I never imagined things would get this serious. Lyra smiled softly, her eyes filled with understanding. We've always known this wouldn't be easy. But if we want something real, something that can change the future, we have to take risks. Together. As she spoke, Alex realized just how much he had come to depend on her presence. She had become more than just the beautiful, strong alien diplomat he had first met. She was someone who made him want to be better. Someone who made him believe that maybe, just maybe, they could change the future, not just for themselves, but for their worlds. The summit began with the usual formalities, introductions, speeches, and polite exchanges of words. Tension in the room was palpable. Alex and Lyra stood side by side, silently observing the proceedings. They could feel the weight of the moment bearing down on them. This wasn't just a gathering of two species. It was the beginning of something much bigger. A chance to create a new path forward. As the speeches continued, Alex found himself growing more anxious. There were still many who opposed their relationship. The council had been divided, and not everyone was willing to accept a human alien bond so easily. Some argued it was too dangerous, that it would weaken their societies. Others feared that the alliance would lead to the loss of their cultural identity. The arguments were endless, and the pressure was building. But then, it was time for Lyra to speak. She stood up from her seat, her presence commanding attention. The room grew quiet as she walked to the center of the hall, her silver hair shimmering. In the soft light, she looked back at Alex for a brief moment, a silent reassurance passing between them before she turned to face the crowd. "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today," Lyra began, her voice steady and strong. "I know that many of you have doubts. You worry that this alliance, this bond between Alex and me is reckless, that it goes against the traditions of our people. I understand that. Change is never easy." Alex watched her, feeling a wave of admiration for her strength. She was facing an audience that was divided, that was uncertain about her choices, but she didn't flinch. She spoke with the calm confidence that he had come to admire in her. "But what we are doing here," she continued, "is not just about two people falling in love. It's about showing that we humans and my people can work together, not just as allies, but as partners. It's about finding common ground, respecting each other's differences, and building something stronger than what we've known." Alex felt his heart swell with pride. Lyra wasn't just speaking for their relationship, she was speaking for the future. She was asking everyone to look beyond their fears and see the possibility of something better, something bigger. "For too long," Lyra said, her voice growing stronger, "we have lived in isolation, afraid to trust others, afraid to embrace what is new. But if we keep hiding behind our walls, we will never grow, we will never evolve. It is time to take a step forward, together. It is time to open our hearts to what is possible." The room was silent. Alex could see the different reactions on the faces of those present, some still skeptical, some deeply moved by her words. Lyra's message had struck a chord, and Alex knew it wasn't just about her words. Yes, it was about her belief in what they could achieve together. Lyra paused for a moment, her gaze sweeping across the room. "I know this is not easy for all of you to accept, but I ask you to look at us not as individuals, but as symbols of what can be accomplished when we dare to believe in each other." Alex stood up, his heart pounding. It was time. He had to speak now, to make sure their message was heard clearly. Taking a deep breath, Alex walked to Lyra's side. The room went quiet as he stood next to her, his presence adding weight to her words. "I may not be an expert in alien politics," Alex began, his voice calm but filled with conviction, "but I've learned one thing on this journey. We're all more alike than we think. We want the same things: peace, security, a future where we can thrive. If that means taking risks, if it means stepping outside of our comfort zones and fighting for what we believe in, then I'm ready." He paused, looking directly at Lyra. "I never expected to find myself here, standing in front of all of you, speaking about something so important. But I'm here because I believe in Lyra, and I believe in the future we can build together. I'm here because I want to be part of something greater than myself." The room remained still as Alex's words settled in. He could feel the eyes of the council members on him, their gazes filled with curiosity and uncertainty. But there was something else, something that wasn't there before. Hope. Lyra turned to him, her eyes soft and filled with something Alex couldn't quite describe. She reached out and took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. "We are not alone," Lyra said, her voice soft but firm. "Not anymore. And together, we can make this work." Together, we can create a future where our people can coexist and thrive. The room was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, a murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. It wasn't a loud, enthusiastic cheer, but it was a sign that they had made an impact. As the summit continued, Alex felt a weight lift off his shoulders. They weren't done yet, but they had taken the first step. They had spoken their truth. And now, it was up to the galaxy to decide if they were ready for change. The summit had ended, but Alex could feel the weight of the moment lingering. He and Lyra had made their case, and they had spoken with honesty and passion. But now as they walked through the grand halls of the embassy, the tension in the air was palpable. The council had not made any immediate decisions, and while there had been some quiet murmurs of agreement, there were still many who remained skeptical. Alex glanced at Lyra, walking beside him. She seemed calm, but he could sense the worry behind her eyes. "How do you feel?" he asked, his voice low. Lyra met his gaze and smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I feel hopeful, Alex, but I know this isn't over yet. We've made our stand, but we still have to convince the council that this is the right path." Alex nodded. He knew that nothing was ever easy, especially when it came to politics. He had been on Earth long enough to understand that, but this was different. This was about more than just politics. It was about building a future. And he wasn't about to give up on that. Over the next few days, the council continued to deliberate. The tension in the air grew thicker as the hours passed. Alex and Lyra spent their time meeting with various diplomats, trying to sway opinions, answer questions, and ease fears. But as the days went by, it was becoming clear that not everyone was ready to accept what they were proposing. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the planet, Lyra took Alex aside to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The view was breathtaking, the city lights twinkling like stars below them, the distant mountains standing tall in the distance. It was peaceful, a moment of calm amidst the storm they were facing. "I'm afraid, Alex," Lyra said, quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know if we'll ever be able to change their minds. Feels like we're fighting against an entire galaxy." Alex stepped closer to her, his heart heavy with the weight of her words. He had known that this wouldn't be easy, but hearing her speak so openly about her fears made him realize just how much was at stake. "We're not fighting against the galaxy, Lyra," Alex said, his voice firm. "We're fighting for the future. We can't let fear stop us from doing what's right." Lyra looked at him, her eyes searching his face for reassurance. She had always been strong, but he could see the vulnerability beneath the surface. He reached out and took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "I know you're scared," Alex continued, "but I'm here with you. We're not alone in this. We have allies, people who believe in us, in this. We've already made an impact. Lyra, we've shown them that it's possible to change, to evolve. We've opened their eyes, and we just need to keep pushing." Lyra squeezed his hand in return, her eyes softening. "You're right. We've come this far. We can't stop." Now, the following morning, the council called for a final vote. Alex and Lyra were both invited to attend, though they knew the outcome was uncertain. They had made their case, but the council still had to decide whether to accept the idea of a human-alien alliance, a bond that would change the future of both worlds. As they entered the council chamber, Alex felt a wave of anxiety wash over him. The room was filled with powerful figures from both species. Some were supportive, some were not. Lyra's father was there, standing by her side, his expression unreadable. He knew this vote would affect the future of his people, and the pressure was on. Lyra stood beside Alex, her presence steady. He could feel her strength even in this uncertain moment. Together, they would face whatever came next. The council session began with formalities, and then the vote was called. The atmosphere in the room was thick with anticipation as each council member cast their vote one by one. Alex couldn't help but hold his breath as the votes were tallied. Finally, the last vote was cast, and the results were announced. The room went silent as the council leader looked up at the two of them. After careful consideration, the council leader said, His voice loud and clear. The vote has passed. We approve the proposal for a human-alien alliance. We will move forward with the plan. A wave of relief swept over Alex, and he turned to look at Lyra. Her face was a mixture of shock and joy. Her eyes wide as the realization set in. They had won. Lyra's hand tightened around his, and she whispered, "We did it, Alex." Alex smiled, his heart swelling with pride. They had done it. They had fought for what they believed in, and now their future together was possible. As the council session ended and the room began to empty, Alex and Lyra stood together in the center of the room, hand in hand. They had made history. They had shown the galaxy that love, understanding, and cooperation were more powerful than fear and division. Alex turned to Lyra, his heart full. "Couldn't have done this without you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. Lyra smiled, her eyes shining, "And I couldn't have done it without you." They stood there for a long moment, savoring the victory. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it felt full of promise. Together, they had overcome the odds. Together, they had paved the way for a future where both humans and aliens could coexist, united in their differences. As they left the council chamber, side by side, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, obstacles to overcome, but with Lyra by his side, he was ready to face whatever came